Gambling and FinTech. What's coming next?
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the panel, Gambling and FinTech, What's Coming Next? My name is Sereena Boparai. I'm the VP of Sales and Account Management at Paramount Commerce. I'll be moderating this panel. Let's start with a quick round of introductions. So if everyone can briefly introduce yourselves and then your association with the payments and gaming space.
Hi. Hello? Awesome. Thanks, Sereena. So my name is Shams. I'm CEO of Apt Pay. Our association is we're actually a disperser, so we are the last leg of when a player gets the funds into their account or funding their account. We're Toronto-based, local, and work with the industry.
Yeah, so my name is Obitayo. I'm the Group Chief Commercial Officer of ID Now. We are basically an identity verification provider, leading and shaping the European market, putting foot onto the grounds now here in Canada as well, making sure that any companies who need KYC and identify their end users and the customers, like in the FinTech space, like in gambling space, that they are compliant, safe, and convenient.
Hi, this is Josep. I'm from Barcelona. I work in Silicon Valley. We're an investment bank. We are working with startups, mainly in the blockchain and crypto space, helping them raise funds and helping them grow internationally.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Okay, so maybe let's start on the security piece. Oliver, I know you just mentioned that's kind of where your focus is, and security is such an integral part of payments technology right now. So how do you see security and KYC evolving in conjunction with the innovations that are happening in payments?
So in general, industries like the gambling industry or the crypto industry, they have one big thing in common, right? Number one, they got increasing regulatory requirements. And the reason why you have them is because there's a huge trust issue in the things that you do and how do you do that. So a proper KYC is, I think, essential in order to pave the way of innovative payment solutions, because that kind of gives you the rubber stamp of giving trust that that payment solution is compliant and secure, and KYC is one of the ways to prove that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's a very big focus for everyone right now. Josep, maybe if I can ask you, with the rise of innovation in the payments technology space, what are the things that you would look for specifically in a company that makes it attractive to an investor?
First thing, when we work with startups, we always look at the team. We want to bet on teams that, if possible, have had some previous exit or some successful venture. Additionally, we look for innovation. We always look for companies that bring something new. There are thousands of copycats that are just trying to replicate something that already worked in a different market. And we're also very active on checking everything related to metaverse, because we think that the future of payments, the future of casinos are on the metaverse, and that's our focus right now.
Okay, interesting. And Shams, maybe a question for you. Obviously, instant payments right now is such a hot topic and I guess buzzword in the industry, right? So do you still think that there's a place for the traditional like batch-based payments in this space now with this rise of instant payments?
So today, yes, only because people haven't figured out what real-time payments need to look like. There's a lot of skepticism in the market with real-time money moving. Is it safe? Is it secure? What am I missing in terms of compliance? And one of the biggest trends you see today is, how do I get money into people's accounts instantly by keeping it very secure? That's never going to go away. There will always be, patrons that say, is digital as safe as physical? But in reality, digital today is actually safer than physical because there's a lot less risk associated with digital transaction. When money moves into somebody's account, be it their bank account, a digitally issued card, you remove the risk of any physical risk. You remove fraud and issues that can happen in real time. Everything now becomes digital and sits in an online account.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. Paramount Commerce, we're a payments company as well, and we definitely notice that as far as the player is concerned, they're getting their funds instantly anyway when it goes in, but it's really all of that fraud and risk on the operator side that then that instant payments piece really starts to help with. So completely agree. Josep, maybe if I can ask you, why is investing in payments technology companies so important right now?
Yeah, as we all know, money is key on every business. If there's no money involved, it's very difficult to get investors. And we need to make sure that every payment technology is aligned with what's going to happen in the future. So we are thinking of integration between the traditional fiat money with the cryptos, with the tokens, with the NFTs. So there are a bunch of payment solutions that are starting to become important. There are also a lot of countries that are jumping into the crypto era, that are jumping into the NFTs, tokens, and we need to integrate those billions of people that will probably skip some of the steps that the developed countries have been following. And we need to integrate them in a way that we know how to, who is making the payment, we know that the payment is going to be fast, and all those problems that we all know. So we need to integrate everyone into the current payment systems, but also in the future technologies. And this is what we are taking care of when we look for startups and we invest in startups that will integrate all these billions of people, and on the other side, integrate all these new technologies that are starting to raise.
Yeah, absolutely. And are there any specific payments technology businesses that you're working with right now that are kind of about to, I guess, come out of that early stage business model?
Yeah, I would say that one of the most disruptive ones that we are working on are the ones related to the metaverse. Metaverse is a concept that, of course, it sounds like science fiction yet, but there's going to be a lot of things happening there. A lot of hackers, a lot of thieves, a lot of gangs that will try to steal your money, the casino's money from the metaverse. We will create fake people that will act with artificial intelligence. There won't even be someone behind that avatar or that person that will try to steal the money from your casinos on the metaverse. So we are working on those securities, cyber securities, that will avoid people like creating these crime organizations inside the metaverse. And this is going to be huge.
Okay, interesting. And Oliver, what do you see as one of the biggest challenges for the gaming industry with the rise of all this new payment technology?
Yeah, so as I said before, I think it's overcoming that trust issue sometimes, right? So we've seen in the last years that the gaming industry, just similar to the crypto industry, got much more professional. A lot of money is involved. You got really professional management. The profiles are changing. The conversations are changing. You really have a business-oriented conversation about how do you actively or proactively manage risk and fraud prevention, right? And that do you do through, of course, the appropriate IDV providers and services, and of course the appropriate payment technologies. And the more progress they are, the easier it is to keep out the fraudsters of the world. Now it's already hard enough to kick ass of the fraudsters in the real world, not mentioning about now the metaverse, right, where you need to even handle real people versus avatars. People basically hide behind a mask. So it's much more difficult to manage those processes. So even more important, before people get into the metaverse, you really want to make sure who is who, and do you trust that person to interact with, and vice versa. Do I trust an operator to interact with, or do I better open up my account somewhere else? So it will become a differentiator to attract the players and the high rollers, at least the profitable ones. And it also will be a differentiator to expand into other markets to get the trust of the regulators. And without that, you're really on the back foot.
Yeah, absolutely. Shams, do you have anything to add to that from your perspective on the payment processing side?
Actually, I was going to say, from both of my panelists are saying, the metaverse, digital, crypto, it's here to stay. It's not going to go away. And the more people that end up using it, the more data that's at risk. And I think exactly what Oliver is saying. The biggest piece we look at is how do you stop the fraudsters, one, getting money in, getting money out? How do you look at disassociating the bad actors from the good actors and really creating almost a mesh outside of that? And people will always try to steal your money, your identity, your funds. But what really kind of stops them from doing that is the security that's enabled on the on front and the offset, I guess, when you're taking out funds.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I will start to wrap up. So, Josep, I'll start with you. What do you expect or do you foresee being one of the more disruptive kind of payment methods or payment innovation to start coming now in the future? And do you think that whatever payment method you speak to, that maybe you can also add how you think it's going to impact the industry as a whole?
I would say that when crypto and tokens were born, we created thousands, millions of different ways of printing money. So before we had certain currencies, now we have millions of currencies which you can use to pay. And as we know, money is whatever object that someone accepts as a value for exchanging goods or exchanging services. So the money is getting digital, and there are thousands of new currencies showing up in the market. For sure, with the new metaverse, with the new technologies, cryptos, integration of the existing and the new currencies, there's going to be a lot of new ways of payment which we still don't know. What is sure is that now that there's a lot of, I would say, hype on the digital identity, people will start using their own data to make payments. And this is something that will evolve in a way that we will be 100% owners of our own data, and we will use it, our health data, our gaming behavior, everything that we own, that we do ourselves, will become our own currency, which we will use to receive services. So I think that this is going to be the most disruptive thing that it's going to happen in payments, that you will be the currency yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Oliver, do you have anything to add to that, or any other payment methods that you foresee being disruptive in the industry in the future?
Yeah, me as a decade-long payments expert, I'm joking, I have no clue. No, I think actually maybe adding an idea here is, I believe, because identities will be owned by the person, which means you will get into things like a wallet, right? You will have your identity on your phone, and you can do whatever you want with that, right? It's reusable. I believe that payment methodologies or preferences will be part of that identity. So basically, the persons owning the payment methodology might switch to the user, to the player, because he will tell how I want to receive my money. He will tell you how I want to do my payments. So that, I think, would increase a lot of the pressure on the processes. How seamless are they? So ultimately, it's all about then being integrated and then making sure that how can you give control to the end user, to the player, give him that choice, but at the same time, how do you make sure that you keep it safe and that you kind of create that trust? And the trust will be the ultimate differentiator. Do you win that end user, that player, that crypto guy or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Shams, I know you and I both have the joy of being on the payment processing side. Do you have anything to add in terms of, I know we've spoken a lot about instant payments today, is there anything else that you foresee making a big impact in the industry in the short or long-term future?
For sure. I think if you take instant disbursements out of the use case itself, it's not just about getting money out, it's about getting money in securely. The biggest issue I guess operators see today and players see today is I'm safeguarding myself as an individual, But if I want to get money into an ecosystem, how am I doing that? How am I doing it safely? And then as an operator, I don't want to have a multifaceted solution. The payment is, I guess the payment industry is very fragmented. I have a single solution to a single partner. If I want 7 solutions, I'm end up going to 7 different partners. Everybody really wants one integration because the more partners you have, the more players in the ecosystem, that's the more dangerous it gets. There's more leaks. We all know everything is digital today. There's one issue that a hacker or one little small, I guess, weakness that a partner looks for, they can penetrate the entire ecosystem. How do you keep that secure? It's really by adding just singular players to do everything and keeping the operator and the consumer safe. That's very difficult. It's not easy. People haven't figured that out because everybody's an expert at one thing. And to build a niche in the entire ecosystem, not just gaming and gambling, is very difficult. You'd have to have industry experts across the board be able to tell you what safeguards a customer, what safeguards an operator, what safeguards land-based compared to online. And those are pieces I think the entire industry is working on today. Strong partnerships build that. But it's saying, how do I get money to you domestically? How do I send money to you overseas? If I'm visiting from Toronto to Vegas and I'm playing at a land-based casino, I don't have the option of moving money online because I don't have an online account. I don't have a bank account in the US. Can they send my money to my Canadian bank account? Those are pieces that the industry is still solving for. But when that all comes together, you're building that as a central database, central payment processor. Is it crypto? Is it blockchain? Is it just disbursements online? But I think that requires a lot of industry coming together and creating almost a certain aspect of disbursements, money in, and creating a regulatory ecosystem that keeps it safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll ask one last question. I know we've talked a lot today about payment innovation and what's coming next. What I think one of the one things we haven't really touched on today is also responsible gaming and what all of this payment innovation means on that front. So Josep, maybe I'll start with you and work this way. With all the innovations that we've talked about, I know we've talked about crypto and the metaverse and instant payments and disbursements. How do you foresee that either supporting or hindering the responsible gaming initiative that's so important in this industry?
Yeah, I think that the best way to allow people to be responsible, to allow people to play, in a way that we all accept as a let's say reasonable behavior, is by implementing some kind of I would say regulations, but not the kind of regulations that come from the governments that avoid us from growing and avoid companies from becoming more developed and more friendly with the users. I would say that the regulation should come from the inside. We should, by doing some KYC processes that allow us to know the customer and to know his weaknesses, his strengths. That's how I connect to the digital identity. So at some point, our digital identity will let us share part of our identity related to health. And in case someone has a problem, in case someone has some kind of psychological need of help, the moment we can use our digital health to make our gaming more responsible and to make our approach to customers more reasonable. I think that all these abuses and the people that are not playing, I would say, in a reasonable way, they have some kind of problem with their health that generates addiction. I think that the moment we start integrating digital identity, digital health with the gaming industry, this is something that will help improve, that will help our industry become, I would say, even more responsible with the society, and will improve the way people see the gaming industry. And I think that should be some kind of tie between digital health and gaming industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Oliver, Shams, anything to add to that?
Maybe just very briefly, because nobody is always the biggest friend of regulation, but I think the clearer the regulation, the easier it is to follow it and to support the growth. I think it's always a challenge if regulation is not clear. It's like nailing a pudding to the wall, right? I mean, how are you going to do that? So if you have a clear regulation, if it is strict enough to basically comply with that, I would say, responsibility against youth and addicted people, whatever, if you have a clear enough regulation, so you know exactly what you need to do as an operator, and if you then have the right technologies in place to make sure that you comply to that, I think then it's much easier for the industry to really do whatever they need to do to grow and drive the business within that framework. It's always difficult. If you have no framework, you fiddle around. It costs time, money, you're unclear for the end users, and that's never good.
Yeah. Shams, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Absolutely. So responsible gaming actually touches very close to heart for me. I have a close friend who made some wrong decisions, let's say. So for us, responsible gaming is actually a huge proponent of our business. We found a way to marry physical data to digital data. Because I think the biggest thing is an operator online, and not required by regulations, an operator online can actually marry data. Data is king. I know if Sereena's playing, I know how many times she's playing, I know what card she's pushing money out to. But if I block you online, nothing stops you from going to a physical casino and continue on playing. So I think there's a marriage of data there, and we found a way to say, at a land-based casino, I know who you are, I know what account you're using, I know how you're transacting, and I can now almost restrict you, not stop you, but at least put in some nice feelers to say, hey, maybe stop, right? And I can do that for physical, land-based, as well as online. It's actually the first solution globally that's been done where we can marry both, but I think it really does touch on responsible gaming, and it gives it the importance because we all game, we all have fun, it's entertainment, and there's a certain threshold you reach, and maybe you don't know when to stop, but as an industry, we're responsible to help people do it. And we're able to do that today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so interesting. I always think when there's a will, there's a way, right? So if you're blocked online and then you want to go into a land-based casino, it's very good to be able to marry those two things up. Okay, I think we're at time. So I will just say thank you to everyone for joining us today. And obviously thank you to the panelists for taking the time to speak today as well. Enjoy the rest of the show, everyone. Thank you.